sometimes they like to dig up a dead horse and put him through the beating again, right? Now, what I mean by that is I saw a bunch of people speaking on Chino Anthrax supposedly having a tracking device or something. There's a lot of reasons why this is laughable, but I think some people watch too many Netflix, or other narco series. I don't even know what they are, but I know there's a bunch of them. Now, why do I say that? The first, and I recommend all the channels reporting on this to actually do their homework instead of just reporting on something for views like they usually do. These chips are not effective, and they're speaking on, for those of you who think a tracking chip or wire like in the clothes, that's outdated. Now it'll be under your skin, like inside the actual human body. Now, why this isn't effective is because just, on a very simple, low tech level, groups like Cartel Jalisco found out how to defeat these chips, and all the cartels employ that. And believe me, Mayo's people and everyone else knows about this as well. This is very open information, and they figured this out a while ago, and it really did cut down the effectivity of, American operations as far as being able to trace and identify people. Now, why this doesn't work? You see, this electronic chip, right, in our body. People, it was laughable because they said they found it on Chino Anthrax, right? It's such a tiny chip, it's almost, laughable that they'd be able to find something like that under your skin. There's no way to check like that, that it'll just show up unless you put them in an X-ray, and we all know that's not what happened. They just make up the story and people go along with it. But point being, the way you can get rid of these is just electricity. So if you suspected someone of having one of these chips, all you really have to do is give them a very strong electrical shock. You see, that's what they did at the training camps of Cartel Jalisco. Anybody on showing up, when you first showed up, you were given a very strong electric jolt, if you want to call it that. And the reason to do this was to burn up that chip if you ever had one in you, inside of your body. That very strong surge of electricity for a short sustained burst would burn up the chip, of course. Just fry it. And this is extremely effective. All the cartels kind of adopted this, and I find it really laughable to think that they'd put one in Chino Antrax and they wouldn't think that Mayo or anyone like that, especially after he just came from the United States from being in house arrest, wouldn't do that. Even if they weren't suspecting anything, they do that just as a preventive measure because who knows over there, they could put it inside you in your food and a lot of places and just follow you around. The government's very, how would I say, deceptive when they want to be. And Mayo and those people know that. And I guarantee the first thing they would have done is burnt those chips up in Chino, which completely crosses out the whole idea that he had one of those chips on him to track Mayo down. That's laughable. Mayo knows about stuff like that, and believe me, he would never put himself at risk in a situation like that, and that's why he's never been arrested. And for those of us who actually live here in Culiacan, have roots in the situation, we all know what really happened to Chino Anthrax was he made the mistake of insulting Ivan Chapo's son at a club. Now, when this confrontation happened, Chino Anthrax got the best of Ivan. The next day, Ivan, of course, called his padrino, Mayo, and asked him to turn Chino, who was the head of security, over. Mayo basically told him to go shove it, and this caused a lot of underlying tension as well in between Mayo and Chapo's sons. This is one of the things that, in my mind, really drove them apart and caused part of the rupture of the Sinaloa cartel were events like this one here. Now, upon denying to turn Chino Anthrax over to Chapo's sons, of course, they took it personally, and it started a conflict in between them and Chapo's sons. And when the moment they heard he was back in Culiacan, as they'd recently started planning their attack on Miles Zambada, even though they hadn't fully launched attacks on his plazas and other things, they believe me were putting things into place because it wasn't a couple months right after this that they were full-fledged at war with Mayo. And don't think that something like that just happens overnight. They decided to go to war. This is something that was prepared for and planned out very thoroughly. And killing Chino was a key piece in that because as Mayo having his sons locked up, his brother, his age, lots of things, he needed someone young that he could trust at his right side that could actually be there in the field and give him real reports and let him know what's going on without any BS. With the Chapitos knowing that that was their first priority, of course, to be able to kill Chino Anthrax and take that away from Mayo, that ability for him to be able to respond back. And it took him a while to reorganize everything, get it back together. We all know Russo, Omega. There were several people who kind of stepped up to the plate, into the fight. Russo mainly, he really put the fight to Chapo's people, to Chapito's sons, and won in lots of cases, and is still currently fighting them, I believe, in Baja California. Though he is also a participant in Operativo Meseta in Zacatecas against Mencho. Now, upon killing Chino Anthrax, of course they're going to try to run his name through the mud as well. There's a little bit of jealousy about what happened with the fight. And when someone's dead, they can't exactly come out and defend their name, can they? So it's easy to say whatever you want and have people believe it. Unfortunately, the people here in Culiacan that actually know what happened and know damn well, they're not too open to talk about it. These aren't things we really speak on. A lot of things that we know here in Culiacan to be facts and common knowledge is stuff that the rest of the world has no idea about. And the people here just know not to speak on it because it's bad policy to speak on stuff like that if you don't have permission. And even with permission, it can be bad because someone could give you permission, you'd be all right to talk, and circumstances change. And you gave this interview, you talked about it, and now the person who's in charge is not okay with what you said. It could cost you your life, even though you had permission to do it at the time. Everything was okay. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that and stay that way. In the next year, the next couple of months, etc. So, the death of Chino Anthrax was a very strategic move by the Chapitos to hit Mile right in the balls, and it worked. It definitely threw things off balance for him for a while. And as a journalist, I could see them taking it personal, but as well, like I said, it was a strategic move for the fact that they were going to go try to take Miles Plazas. So it was personal and business at the same time. And we all know what happened. He ended up paying the life of himself, his sister, and his brother-in-law. And, a lot of people still talking trash with him not being able to be here to defend himself. It's easy. Easy picking. So, I hope you guys actually look into what happened. And what I'm saying, you can confirm it's true. This isn't rocket science, or this isn't a very heavily guarded secret. It's just a lot easier sometimes to lie. And people like the stories that go along with the narrative that they want to believe in. So, have a good one, everybody. Adios.